for joining us today. Hello and welcome to Business Daily. I'm Lee Ji-yoon in Seoul. Before we get started, let's take a look at what we have lined up for you in the latter half of our program. Samsung Electronics launches its Galaxy Note 5 and Galaxy S6 Edge Plus here in Korea, and this time they come with a cheaper price tag. We're seeing a shift in the world of energy where more countries are turning to greener options for power. We take an in-depth look at why this is so and where Korea stands in the global energy transition. Korea's National Assembly's Special Budget Committee is on day 3 of its questioning sessions on the government's budget settlement for 2014, with lawmakers focusing solely on economic ministries today. Lawmakers are grilling Finance Minister Choi Kyung-hwan and other heads of economic departments on the government's policies and their budget execution last year. In particular, they're discussing the tax deficit and restructuring of tax schemes, among other major issues. The committee is expected to deliberate on the government's 2014 budget settlement next week. The smartphones are getting bigger, and so is the buzz. Korea's Samsung Electronics has officially released not one, but 2 large-screen smartphone models on its home turf. The company hopes the devices will give its flagging smartphone sales a much-needed shot in the arm. Our Song Ji-sun has this report.
1 week after their unveiling at a glitzy press event in New York City, Samsung Electronics' latest phablet models, the Galaxy Note 5 and the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, hit store shelves in Seoul and across Korea on Thursday. Both devices come with rounded edges, wireless charging, and attractive pricing, with the retail price of a 32GB Galaxy Note 5 dropping below the $900 mark for the first time.
Compared to my Nexus smartphone, I really like the Note 5's design and colors. I've just tried taking photos with it, and the device's processing speed and resolution are impressive.
As well as the new smartphones, the Korean tech giant has also launched Samsung Pay. The mobile payment service enables users to buy things by tapping their smartphone against credit card readers. Looking to get a head start on Apple ahead of the iPhone 6s's expected arrival next month, Samsung sped up the launch by a couple of weeks. Samsung has a firm grip on the global smartphone market, but Apple and Chinese manufacturers have been eating into their share, despite the Korean firm's release of other high-end devices in the first half.
Samsung has loaded its new models with its most advanced technology. It has also improved its supply chain, which came up short in the first half with the Galaxy S6 Edge model. But the outlook for the mobile sector remains dim, as competition with Apple will intensify at the high end of the market. Samsung has better earnings prospects in memory chips, where market conditions are more favorable.
Samsung has also revamped its low-end smartphone lineup in a desperate bid to reverse its dropping share of the global smartphone market. Sales in both premium and low-end categories will be crucial to Samsung's hopes of rebounding from record low profitability in the second half. Song Ji-sun, Business Daily.
Korea's Hyundai Kia Motors has stepped up its home production, adding the largest number of vehicles over the span of a decade compared to other global car makers like Toyota or Volkswagen. According to Korea Automobile Manufacturers Association, domestic car production by Hyundai and Kia last year was at 3.6 million units, up roughly by 900,000 since 2004. It also grew at the fastest pace at around 34%, exceeding the industry average of 8 global automakers that was at minus 15%. Experts say greater home manufacturing is a signal to the company's growing contribution to the country's economy. The OECD has placed Korea's Greater Seoul region in the bottom tier in terms of so-called housing well-being. Korea's capital region received 2.1 points on a scale of 10, ranking 24th among 33 countries surveyed. Now, the scores were based on the number of rooms per person in each region, and Koreans living in the greater metropolitan area had an average of 1.3 rooms per person. Canada and Australia's capital regions topped the list, receiving 8.5 points. Israel's Jerusalem finished last with 0 points. The OECD, however, said that the results did not take into consideration the country's population density or housing prices. Now, relations between South and North Korea remain on shaky ground nearly 7 decades after their separation. And the future of joint projects like the Kaesong Industrial Complex and Mount Kumkang tours remains hazy, while inter-Korean trade is at a standstill. Our Eunice Kim tells us more.
The bus station, where tourists were once bound for North Korea's Mount Kumkang, is desolate. The ticket office, demoted to a storage unit, holds customs declaration forms that have lost their starchy white hue. This once bustling dried fish market is empty.
Some shop owners died of shock. Some bolted in the night. Some just left.
It's been 7 years since the Mount Kumkang tours were shut down after a South Korean tourist was shot to her death by a North Korean guard. The losses from the shuttered tour program, coupled with those from a severely limited Kaesong Industrial Complex, is believed to amount to $1.2 billion for the South, 10 times more than damages incurred by the North. The symbol of inter-Korean trade is only running at 5% of the capacity originally envisioned. Soon after one research showed overall damages amounted to $8.6 billion, relations worsened. North Korea refused to recognize its role in the Cheonan warship sinking that put to motion the May 24th sanctions against the Kim regime.
Business has been incredibly difficult, but as a company that pays taxes, we're getting virtually no government help.
So what could be the solution to this deadlock? Some say, look wider. Engage the reclusive state in a platform of multi-nation development that would not twist and turn with every military and political friction. Another research institute concluded that an integrated North and South Korean economy would be a boon, not only for Pyongyang, but also for Seoul. And amid Korea's deepening growth challenges and financial woes, voices urging more aggressive solutions are only getting louder. Eunice Kim, Business Daily.
And let's now get a quick check on how the markets fared here in Seoul today. Seoul shares plunged on Thursday, reaching a 7-month low as foreign investors who are worried by China's stock market rout continued their selling spree here. At the closing bell, the benchmark Kospi dropped 1.28%, finishing the day at 1914.55, while the tech-heavy Kosdaq also went down by 2.06% to end at 656.71. On the foreign exchange counter, the Korean currency gained ground against the greenback, ending at 1,185.1 won. Today's Energy Day here in Korea. This day was designated to create more awareness about energy saving and to promote alternative energy sources. And it looks like the global economy could also be taking a definitive turn away from fossil fuel dependence and towards greener options. Take a look.
Key renewable resources are becoming more realistic options for the world's future energy supply. Alternative energy has become more cost competitive, narrowing the gap with fossil fuels like coal and oil. To put things into perspective, the cost of wind power is only a third of what it was 25 years ago, while solar power has dropped by half since 2010. And according to the International Energy Agency, electricity derived from renewable resources has now surpassed natural gas, becoming the world's second largest provider of power. In this changing landscape, there are concerns that Korea may be falling behind. Korea imports much of its energy from other countries, and on top of that, it sits in the lower ranks among OECD member nations when it comes to its output of new and renewable power. With the world accelerating growth in alternative energy production, how can Korea shed its dependence on fossil fuels and increase its use of greener options?
And to tell us more, we're now joined by Professor Yoon Won Chul of Hanyang University. So good to have you join us today.
Hi.
All right, so as we just saw in the report, it looks like the world is turning toward more renewable energy than before. I mean, around us, we're seeing electric cars and we see solar-powered facilities. But then on a global scale, how dependent are we still on conventional form of energy?
The demand for oil is still increasing, mainly because of the economic growth by developing countries such as China and India. However, it is quite true that the global dependency on oil is gradually decreasing. An interesting point is that the effect of a sharp decline in the crude oil price is now a little weakened. That is, although the crude oil price is sharply declined, the demand for oil does not change too much. Of course, we should consider the global economic recovery is quite slow. Yeah.
All right, then many of us are quite familiar with solar energy and wind power and so on. But then what kind of other new and renewable energy are there?
Usually, renewable energy is generally defined as energy that comes from the natural resources, such as sunlight and wind, and also the hydroelectric power and ocean tide and waves, and even the geothermal heat. And new energy usually includes hydrogen energy and fuel cells, and nowadays is quite famous for the coal gasification. One of the most the PowerPoint in renewable energy is we don't worry about the depletion of the energy, right? So it's quite a good point for renewable energy.
All right, now we want to know what kind of influence does a country's energy makeup have on the overall economy?
I say the energy is kind of the foundation stone for the modern industrial economy. Energy provides essential ingredient for almost all the human activities. It provides the various kind of service for the eating, wearing, and housing. Our country case is, as you know, we import energy from abroad by about 96% of total consumption. So as an energy poor country, South Korea is totally rely on our economy, totally rely on the stable energy supply.
All right, you talked a little bit about how Korea imports a lot of its energy sources, but then can you go a little bit farther on where Korea's energy industry is at right now?
Our industry is quite a big, best size. As in the aspect of consumption, it's already we ranked the 7th or 8th in the world, and import the aspect we already ranked the 5th or 6th ranked in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then why is Korea falling behind in this industry compared to other countries, I guess, in Europe?
You mean the renewable energy sector?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
There are several reasons, but I can say the energy demand of most OECD countries, especially European countries, is already saturated. However, in our cases, the energy demand is still growing. And considering the cost effectiveness and technical reliability, it is not easy choice for our country to catch up the pace with the most OECD country in a short period of time.
All right, then what should Korea do to, I guess, improve this sector, this industry?
Yes, our government already announced, very ambitious plan toward post-2020 to meet the climate change issues. And our government also planned to a lot of investment on the R&D on the renewable energy. So we are now gradually moving toward the low carbon society. I think sooner or later we can catch up the OECD country, I think.
But for now, we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your insight today, Professor.
Thank you.
All right, that'll do it for me for now. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back tomorrow with more business news that matters to you. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.